Islam Wars, please be seated. Arise, giving all praise to Allah, the Father of the universe, cherisher and sustainer of all the boundless universes. I extend the highest of honors to his holy and divine prophet, Prophet Noble Drew Ali, the founder of the Moorish Science Temple of America. I extend high honors to his forerunner, the most honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey, the founder of the Universal Negro Improvement Association, who did indeed warn and stir up the nations. I extend high honors to the first Supreme Grand Sheikh of the Moorish Science Temple of America, Brother Ranesi-El. I extend high honors to the current Supreme Grand Sheikh of the Supreme Grand Council of the Uniting of the Moorish Science Temple of America, Brother R. Edwards-El, giving high honors to our National Grand Sheikh of the Uniting the Moorish Science Temple of America, Brother G. Turner-El. Islam, giving high honors, Islam Moors? Giving high honors to the Moorish flag, the red flag with a 5-pointed green star in the center. These 5 points representing love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Islam? Giving high honors to the American flag, also known as the Stars and Stripes. This flag exists as a constant reminder that the European nations owe you, the Moors, with compound interest. Islam? Giving honors to the Noble Sheikh staff, Noble Acting Vanguard staff, the Moorish National Security Command, who keep the peace, and giving honors to you, the Ils and Bays, for without you there is no Moorish movement. Islam Moors? How's everyone on this holy day? Praise Allah, Moors, praise Allah. It is not my intention to burden you Moors with anything too lengthy tonight. However, I'd just like to go over a few small things. If you have your Moorish literature, open your Moorish literature pamphlet to the page entitled the article is entitled Prophet Announces His Authority and Power, page 11. I'm here, Islam, when you're there. Islam. Praise Allah. And again, declaring my intentions by using page 3, as you were, Morris. By using page 3, the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Dear readers, do not falsely use these lessons. They are for good, peace, and happiness for all those that love Jesus. Islam, Morris? All right. Prophet announces authority and power. Forced to make changes. All governors and other officers of the Moorish Science Temple of America are hereby congratulated for their past loyalty and fidelity, for I know it will be the same in the future. Because of certain incidents that have arisen in some of the temples, because of certain incidents that have risen in some of the temples, which seem to come from the fact that there are those who do not know where the seat of power is vested, the Prophet has ordered the following to be published. All authority and power of the Moorish Science Temple of America is vested in the Prophet Noble Drew Ali and those whom he appoints to act as in the supreme body. The Prophet has the authority and power to expel any officer or member of the Moorish Science Temple of America who willfully violates or refuses to comply with the rules in regards to the branch Moorish Science Temple of America, and such suspensions and expulsions shall stand until in the judgment of the Prophet, the members and officers shall have made satisfactory atonement. All officers and members of the Moorish Science Temple of America and any such rules and regulations of the Constitution shall be in writing and not at variance with any law of the city, town, or nation which the Prophet shall declare a law. During this session of the convention, all rules, regulations, and laws of the Constitution and such as might be enacted and ordered by the Prophet shall express and explain in detail, so there can be no doubt as to what is required of each and every officer or member of the organization. The Prophet will positively not tolerate any interference with the operation of this national divine movement from anyone by the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Islam? Islam. Now I was watching a demonstration from one of the mighty Supreme Grand Sheikhs, brother named Brother C. El. He put a thought in my mind thinking about our brother named Jesus. And Jesus once said, "He who takes the life of another away will not enjoy his own." Right? What does that mean? That means that if you seek to hinder anyone from the path of Islamism, you will never find peace on this planet. Islam? Islam. The Prophet talks about unrest, misery, and death in chapter 3 of our Quran, right? I just want to draw from that real quick. Chapter 3 in your Quran. Chapter 3, instruction 12. And again, demonstrating the cover of the Holy Quran at Moorish Science Temple of America, divinely prepared by the noble prophet Drew Ali, by the guiding of his father God Allah, the great God of the universe, to redeem man from his sinful and fallen stage of humanity back to the highest plane of life with his father God Allah. Chapter 3, verse 12. The lower self is rich in promises, but poor in blessedness and peace. It offers pleasure, joy, and satisfying gain, but gives unrest, misery, and death. The Prophet Noble Drew Ali's position is that if you find yourself in a position where you're feeling unrest, and you're walking around and you're feeling miserable, and so on and so forth, these are the functions of the lower self. This is the Prophet is, guaranteeing you, right? We have a tendency, because what the Negro problem did was to play the blame game and victim, so it's everybody else except you. So if you ask the person, why aren't you happy? Well, so-and-so is, and then so-and-so is, and this person is doing this to me, and that person's doing that to me. Islam, but the common denominator to all those scenarios is me. Islam? So if you're finding yourself in these positions, you have to go back and apply the advice which says, know thyself and Allah. Islam? Now, while I was getting dressed to come to temple this evening, I had to look at, got my fez out of my fez case, rolled it off, put it on, pulled my robe out. My wife was wrapping my sash around and everything, and it dawned on me. It's like, wow, I'm getting dressed, but the person that is actually dressing me tonight is Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Because when I came to the Moorish Science Temple of America, I didn't know nothing about a fez. Islam? I didn't know nothing about a robe. Islam? Because the interesting part about how I'm dressed tonight, there's no other nation that can claim what I'm wearing tonight. Right. Can't no Senegalese talk about that's my dress code. Can't no Egyptian say that's my dress code. Islam? Can't no Arab come to you and say that's mine, take it off. The Prophet gave us our own dress code, right? Along with the dress code, it comes rules and regulations. Now let me just read that last statement, in the article I read from Moorish literature. It says the Prophet will positively not tolerate any interference with the operation of this national and divine movement from anyone by the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Islam? See, the Moorish Science Temple of America is an institution full of rules, right? And the problem why we can't grow, that's too absolute. The problem why we're not growing as a people, right, is the fact that we don't like rules. We don't like to conform to law. Islam? And how is this coming from a people that invented law, that brought law to the earth, right? Now we want to run around lawless and then wonder why we have unrest, misery, and death in our lives. Islam? Using myself for an example, Tuesday, I was at work and felt a little something in the back of my throat, and I said, oh no, I know what to do tonight, And then sure enough, got in that night, the temperature went up, the whole, everything was in a state of flux. So, the Prophet says is that, no good has been given to you without a certain evil attached to it. But the means to throw the evil off of that thing has also been given to you. Islam? So the Prophet gives you remedies to cure you from anything that you weren't born with. Islam? So all that walking around and, being ill, now more, we got work to do. You ain't got the time to be dwelling in your form. You got to cure that and keep it moving. Islam? I give honors to the assistant Grand Sheikh because, in a rare occasion, he and I were down on the same day, which is very rare, which is why we had to cancel civics class this week, which won't happen again because we have some appointments coming up because Grand Temple 19 needs assistance in the Sheikh staff, and some appointments are coming up soon, so praise Allah. Islam? All right? But then again, right, this is something that, we should be able to look amongst the ranks in the groves, because anybody with a fez on and a crescent pen and a turban on should clearly be a representative of Prophet Noble Drew Ali. So I shouldn't be hard pressed to find help to assist the Prophet. I shouldn't have to sit back and say, well, what about, brother so-and-so, he's not consistent. What about sister? Nah, she's not consistent. She ain't where she's at in her understanding. Because when you get behind here, we need to know you're going to speak the Prophet. That when you open your mouth, the oracle of Allah is going to open up. And Allah, through his holy prophet, is going to come out to guide the people. Islam? You know, so if you standing on the law, you know, because, you know, that sword of Damocles is standing over our heads, right? So we violate the law, that thing comes and falls down on our necks. So the same laws we seek to enforce on other people will be enforced on us. Islam Moors? Now, I want everybody to think back to the time, right? Because everyone here has proclaimed their nationality through Grand Temple 19. I want you to think back to the day or the night that you proclaimed your nationality, right? And I want you to think back when this was held up before your face. Everybody remember this? Islam. And I recall saying, because I'm the one that issues the cards, says, this is your standard right here. Prophet Noble Drew Ali. It says, not the Grand Sheikh, it's not any Grand Governor, not an Assistant Grand Sheikh, it's the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Islam. And we read Acts 6 and 7 to you. All 7 are binding on you, but especially Acts 6 and 7 especially. Islam? So it's a contract, is it not? We say covenant, right? And a covenant is a contract, okay? Now, anybody ever heard the phrase intellectual property? What is intellectual property? Islam, more, if we can condense for time. Okay.
Intellectual property is basically, intellectual property is basically thoughts, your thoughts. Mm-hmm. Anything having to do with your thoughts, words, or ideas.
Islam. In the Moorish Science Temple of America, give me some examples of intellectual property of the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. The floor is open.
The Moorish literature.
Samo? Islam. What else, brother?
I was going to say the Holy Quran or Circle 7.
Islam. The Holy Quran in the Moorish Science Temple of America. I always remember that the Circle 7 is the emblem that's on it, but the book is the Holy Quran. Islam. What else? Quran questions. Islam. Crescent pen? Fez? Islam. Okay. Robe? Moorish robe? Islam. From the Prophet, right? If you doubt me. Islam. What is he wearing? All right. Okay. What else? 10 wonders of the world, these emblems? Because we were ignorant about those before they were, we could look at those and not know they were ours before the Prophet. Islam? So when you join the Moorish Science Temple of America, you become a part of a body and you take on the vestments and adopt it into a society where all of the intellectual property of the Prophet become yours by birthright, right? But they're yours as long as you obey the laws of the Prophet, right? Because we got a chapter of gratitude, and it would be ungrateful to receive all those things and to do other than what he said to do. That's plain, Moors. That's not complicated. That's not lofty. That's not too high or evolved. Common sense stuff, right? That's the same thing, like I say all the time. You can stay in your mama's house as long as you obey her rules. Or your daddy's house, as long as you obey the rules. When you don't obey the rules and you feel like you're grown, then you might have to change your address. Islam? And in this house, Allah is the Father of the universe, but manifest, Prophet Noble Drew Ali run this. Period. Islam? Me having this black fez on tonight means that if I don't obey the law, my head can come off. All right? So the reality of it is, Moors, is that we not playing Moorish. You know, perfect example. My sister Samantha. Sister Samantha, how long have we known you?
The 27th.
Of November? Okay, so a few months, right? Let me show you how bad Noble Drew Ali is. So sister, I only known him for 3 months, holding my grandson that was just born. He was born later that same month that she came. I don't know that sister, but the Prophet made me know her. So I know so I could look away and know he's fine. That's how bad the Prophet is. That's how bad the Moorish Science Temple of America is, right? It gives me a trust, right? Because I see her living the life accordingly. And I see the Prophet transforming her and her daughter's life, right? And I see the glow, like the Moor talked about. Righteousness has a look. Righteousness looks away. It's not nothing about the clothes you put on. It's a light that shines forth through your face. And when you see that, you're like, uh-oh, Allah done touched them. Right? Our Christian brothers and sisters use the term anointing, but we got that on the back of our, we got that degree too. You know what I'm saying? But the reality of it is, Moors, is that if we're going to be here, first of all, be here. Right? if we're gonna be here, Moors, we gotta be the message, right? I'm not one, and especially the older I get in this, that can tolerate excuses, right? Because the prophet removed victim mentality from us. So when I hear a lot of blaming, I'm like, somebody trying to evade the law. When I hear somebody saying, you know what, I'm not doing as much as I need to do, I was like, okay, that's accountability. That person's ready to grow. But when I hear all that, everybody else's, that ain't Moorish. That's Negroish, right? And I look for it in myself first before I seek to condemn it in others. Islam? Now, we read one small thing, and I'm gonna let y'all go, Morris. All right? I ain't gonna let y'all go for good, because I love y'all. And I'm gonna love you till you learn to love yourself, Islam. Wow. Go to chapter 25, 20, 28 in your Quran. That'll be page 38. Master and servant. Hear Islam when you're there. Praise Allah. Chapter 28, holy instruction from the prophet, master and servant. Instruction 1, repine not. Repine means to complain. Complain not. We love to complain, right? Islam. So that's the first off the rip. Repine not, O man, at the state of servitude is the appointment of Allah, and hath many advantages. It removeth thee from the cares and solicitudes in life. The honor of a servant is his fidelity. Fidelity means loyalty. Islam? His highest virtues are submission and obedience. Be patient. Now this is the degree right here. 3 drives it home. Be patient, therefore, under the reproofs of thy master, and when he rebuketh thee, answer not again. The silence of thy resignation shall not be forgotten. Is there anybody present that feel like they can't be corrected? Proclaim it. The floor is open, Morris. Is there anybody in the room that feels like they're above being corrected? Because we come here to be corrected, right? We come here to find a better lifestyle, right? Okay? So if I see you doing something wrong and I offer a bit of advice, and that I is my staff as well. Islam? If I or we offer you a bit of advice, Morris, it's for your growth. Islam? It's because you my brother or you my sister and I care. Right? And when we out in the field, we representing each other. There was a situation during the blanket drive. My reason for not being here is being held by Sister Samantha right now. My grandson was coming in the world, right? He's coming into the material plane, so I had to be there playing catcher, right? As he's coming through, the Moors out in the field with the blanket drive, right? I get reports all during the blanket drive. There's breakdowns in communication in terms of the assistant grand sheikh not being honored in his word. Islam? Now, what Brother J. Omar Wali Bey was saying was very powerful, right? In terms of we got to take this out of the temple and go to the streets. But if we not honoring, see, if you look at it like a cell, the nucleus is the inner part of the cell, right? But if the nucleus is sick, what does it do to the body? Islam? So we get out there and then the people see the disunity in us, which makes the prophet look bad, which is not what we're here to do. Islam? This thing is very rank and file, and it's that way for a reason. He's the assistant grand sheikh because he earned that. He didn't just get here yesterday. Islam was? So if I put the trust in him more, I need you to do it. He's under specific instructions if I'm not here and he's guiding you all. Islam? And he's to carry them out to the letter, and he knows that, and he does that. That's why he is who he is, right? But when that's not honored, it breaks the movement down, right? So when the correction comes in terms of, Moors, why did y'all do this? It's actually gone this way, right? It should have gone this way, right? If one's, like buck back instead of taking the correction, because I come from an era when men corrected one another. It's like, you know what, I was wrong. I'll eat that. I'll do better next time. That's the era I come from. What is this mess with men and their feelings? What is it? I don't know nothing about it. And if you do it around me, I'm going to look at you like you're crazy. Islam? You got to grow up because this is nation building. What do you think this is? Islam? This ain't no play. Our people are dying out there. And they need to see the discipline in us. Right? You got the prophet's fez on, means you a thinking man. You got a turban on, you a thinking woman. You're the answer our people need.
That's right. That's right.
You the savior they looking for. It's on you, Jesus. What you gonna do?
That's right.
I'm looking at Jesus. I'm looking at Muhammad. I should be looking at Drew Ali. Islam? All right? But you can't get that, and you can't grow into that if you can't take correction.
That's right.
Keep going. It says, be studious. 4, be studious of his interests. Be diligent in his affairs, and faithful to the trust which he reposeth in thee. The key word in that is diligent. Thy time and thy labor belong unto him. Defraud him not thereof, for he payeth thee for them. How many people have jobs in the room? You go to work whatever time you want to go? And expect to get paid? You go to work telling the manager what you gonna do and what you not gonna do? You wouldn't even try that with the European. But you come in amongst one of your own and give them all kind of mess.
That's right.
Why should we have to go through that? You should work harder for somebody that look like you. Because you have a vested interest in the success of that thing because it's connected to you. Why are we honoring the European in them ways? Because don't tell me the Prophet Noble Drew Ali ain't paying you, right? Because I look at some of the things y'all post on social media about the growth, the benefits that you get from the Prophet and this movement, what it's doing for you and all that type of stuff. That's a payment the Prophet gave you, right? Because you didn't have that before you touched the hem of the garment of the Prophet. All right? It says, 6. Now this is on us, as sheiks. It says, and thou who art master, be just to thy servant if thou expectest from him fidelity and reasonable in thy commands, if thou expectest ready obedience. Because we're not going to ask nothing of you that we're not going to put on ourselves. Period. Islam? You know, we ain't on no high camel commanding down the yard to do. No, we going to be in the trenches with you. Islam, Moors? The spirit, okay, it says, the spirit of a man is in him. Severity and rigor may create fear, but can never command love. Now here's the formula. Mix kindness with reproof and reason with authority. So shall thy admonitions take place in his heart, and his duty shall become his pleasure. He shall serve thee faithfully from the motive of gratitude. He shall obey thee cheerfully from the principle of love, and fail thou not in return to give his diligence and fidelity their proper reward. Islam, Moors? Surely Allah speaks the truth through his holy and divine prophet, Noble Drew Ali. All right? So, Moors, with that, and in closing, I will say, and I haven't forgotten your question, Brother Akil. What can I say? We've come so far. Many of you were here on December 4th when the national staff came down and issued the charter, gave us a grand responsibility as a grand temple, right? Everybody was high in vibration that day. Y'all remember that day? Remember how high y'all were? What happened to the vibe? How do we go from that to the where we're in energy right now? How do we get there? And what's draining the love and the productive and protective vibe that we're supposed to have when we come to the temple? What's draining that? We have to take a look at ourselves and ask, why are we here? And don't let nothing pull you away from the Prophet. Period. I don't care what it is. Don't allow no one to pull you away from the Prophet, because remember where you were before you found him. Or worse yet, let's say if you met the Prophet and then somehow lost your way and then came back to the Prophet, right? And that feeling, once you come back, it's like, man, I don't really want to go back to that mess I was just a part of. So you got to fight for that. Islam? There's no such thing as anybody that's too far gone. I don't accept that. Right? Because to say that is to circumscribe Allah, and I can't do that. See what I'm saying? So I'm not going to give up on nobody in the room. Period. If you got to come kicking and screaming, you're going to come. Harriet Tubman put a gun in somebody's head and said, you're going to be free today. I'm going to blow your head off. That's where we're at now. That's radical on a holy day. But truth is pretty radical. Don't make me use them degrees. Because I'm not going to let you be no slave. I'm not going to let you be no Negro. Because you're not. You're stronger than what you acting. Islam? You're the fathers of the universe. Yes, yeah. Because Allah is your father. Right? It says in Quran and Mecca that you are the Khalifa of the earth, the successor of Allah in the earth. So that's not a stretch, right? So when Eddie Murphy put Coming to America back out just to remind y'all what royalty looked like again. Islam? All right? Because we run around acting like vagabonds and everything low in the world. Brother Kareem Bed, you had a question.
Islam. Wanted to know what was the chapter you were reading or referring to?
The last one I read was Master and Servant.
Okay.
Chapter 28.
Okay. All right. Cool. That's all.
Islam. You read that actually. You read that and the one following Magistrate and Subject. Technically, they're the same chapter, dealing with the same topics, right? But Moors, this is what it is. We got to get more serious about how we're governing this movement because we're getting calls every day about people inquiring about this. And when they come and to see what this is, you want everybody's first experience of a thing to be the high. What December 4th was here when we received the Grand Charter, we want that energy to be everybody's first experience. Right. When they get here, I don't want them walking into the valley of the dry bones. You know what I'm saying? Because they're going to, that's all this is. I'm going back into the world. The world is more exciting than that. And we're not here to entertain you. I'm nobody's entertainer, right? Allah give me a message and I give it. That's it. If that don't do it for you, hey, praise Allah. May you find what does do it for you. All right? But the reality of it is you got to find it in yourselves, Morris. You know what I'm saying? We got young people coming up in this thing, and they love the Prophet. They love this. Giving honors to our young sister, Sister Gwendolyn. Thank you very much for allowing our young sisters to come out to Sister L. Hayes Bay's mother's homegoing. And for the Moors that participated in that, y'all demonstrated chapter 25, the Holy Covenant. Right? Because when one of us falls or the family of one of us falls, we drop everything to come into each other's aid. That's who we are, right? You see that amongst other nationalities and they're successful because they move like that. You see what I'm saying? So, for those that came and did that and stood out in the cold and set the balloons off and sat with the bereaved, relatives and, just to see them in the temple with the flags up in the charters and they was comfortable, We had robes and feathers on and stuff like that. And they were looking, and they wasn't freaked out that we had nothing on. They was, I said, y'all stay as long as y'all want. Can't nobody put us out. Islam, there's a power in that, right? And if we're going to reach the Asiatics, right, not just to proclaim Moorish Americans, not just to get around each other and talk deep, right, because we know the same jargon, but to reach those who don't know the Prophet. But you showing them who the Prophet is by your actions. That's what this is, right? So, again, when I see it coming, loose at the threads and us going bickering back and forth, and I'm gonna tell you more, social media is gonna be one of the things that's gonna tear you up and away from the Prophet, right? Because I'm gonna tell you what happens with social media. And I'm gonna do this in 2 minutes. Name some great leaders that came to our people. Noble Drew Ali, obviously, right? Who else? Marcus Garvey, Dr. King, Malcolm X, okay? How hard did these individuals have to get to work to get you to realize who they were? They had to work pretty hard, right? Remember, no internet. Back when I was growing up in the 70s, it was only 3 TV stations, right? So for you to finally find out, even in the smallest towns, who these people were, that means they were working pretty hard, right? Here's the problem with social media. Now you're hearing from people that you normally would have never heard from, ever. And you're hearing all these different opinions from people. There was I think it was Mao Zedong. He said, no investigation, no right to speak. So you got people, a whole bunch of opinions, don't know what they're talking about. Islam, that's why we teach information in degrees, a step by step. Because if you seek to get something beyond your understanding, you're going to sound like a fool. So we try to protect ones from that, right? And earn it. When you earn it, can't nobody take it away from you. You got to get it the right way. If you try to go around the back door, people who know what that is going to sound like, oh, I see what you're trying to do. And they're going to pity you for your absurdity. Islam, there's a way to do everything. And the Prophet, the way he packaged it up, brought it right. Right? And we just got to fall in. Stop trying, what do you say? Stop trying to find out how your salvation is going to come. Just follow me. And he showed you how it was supposed to work. Islam? So Moors, if you got to find in yourself the reality that the Moorish Science Temple of America is the best thing that ever happened to Asiatic people in America, right? And you're a part of that. Now you got to take it and make it grow. make it work. You got the seed, now you got to water it and keep the weeds away from it. Islam? Moors, I love you, Moors. Islam? Ain't nothing you can do to make me stop loving you. Period. You might get on my nerves every now and then. I promise you that. And I'm going to get on yours. Here go the Grand Sheik again. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm using my bully pulpit tonight. Right? But somebody got to tell you the truth. Right? So we like stuff that sound good to us and people soothe our egos, tell us how great we was and who we ruled. But you're not ruling yourself. Islam? You know, and we know that by the things that we're producing amongst each other. And the main thing, it starts with peace and harmony. If we're not producing that, then all the other stuff you want is not going to work. That's right. All right? So with that, Moors, I'm going to demonstrate the divine warning. Islam? 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 Islam. Islam. Divine warning by the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Prophet warns all Muslims, governors, ordered to read proclamation at each meeting. Islam. Islam. I hereby inform all members that they must put an end to all radical and agitating speeches while at work, in their homes, or on the streets. We are for peace and not destruction. Stop flashing your cards at Europeans. It causes confusion. Remember, your card is for your salvation. Failure to obey these orders will be of severe consequence. We are for love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Any member or group of members who hold malicious feelings toward the temple or the prophet, or to violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement, will receive their reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors will and must obey the laws laid down to them by their prophet. If they lose confidence in their prophet, they should turn in their card and button, cease wearing the turban and fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. This is a holy and divine movement founded by the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. If the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. The prophet therefore is sending out a divine plea to all Moorish Americans that they do their part in protecting their prophet and the temple. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways by order of Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Islam? 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 Islam. Islam. Moors, we have a lot of work to do, and I pray you find it in yourselves to take the work seriously. The answer is never to run back in the world, because the world has plenty of traps out there to destroy you. So if you look behind the prophet, there's flames behind him. That's what you're running back to if you remove the prophet out of the way. All right? So praise Allah and honors to his holy and divine prophet. Just to, raise the energy a little bit, just close with the prophet's prayer. Allah bind our hearts and minds back to our ancient forefathers' divine creed and principles. This we ask in our holy name and in the seven Elohim. Amen. At this point, I'd like to call the Assistant Grand Governor, Sister Sheikah T. Ranesi-El, to close the Moorish American prayer. Islam? 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 Islam.
Would everyone please rise? Face the east, which is right in front of you, while standing on your square. While holding 5 fingers on your left, 2 fingers on your right. And repeating after me. Allah,
Allah,
Father of the universe,
Father of the universe,
the Father of love,
the Father of love,
truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector,
Allah is my protector,
my guide, and my salvation, by night, and by day, through his holy prophet, Drew Ali. Ameen.
Amen. Islam, Moors? Islam.
حي على الصلاة